Tell me something. Why is it that younger women are so often drawn to older men? It's not just money, status, or life experience, though those play a part. The real reason runs deeper, hidden in psychology and desire. Older men flirt differently. They don't rush, they don't beg, they don't waste energy proving themselves. Instead, they use subtle signals, small touches, dangerous pauses, whispers that belong only to her ear. Tricks so powerful that a younger woman feels them in her body before her mind can explain it. And once you see these 7 flirting secrets, you'll understand why older men don't chase younger women. The women chase them one. The gentle touch that feels like an accident, but isn't. A touch can be louder than 1,000 words. And here's the secret most men never understand. It's not about how much you touch, but how little and how deliberately. The older man, the one with experience and calmness, doesn't rush in like a boy desperate to be noticed. No, he knows the art of the almost accidental touch. The hand brushing against her lower back as he steps past. The fingertips grazing her arm when he leans in. The brief contact that feels casual, but lingers just a second too long. Why does this work? Psychology calls it sensory priming. The human body reacts to touch faster than it processes words. That feather light graze on her skin sends signals straight to her nervous system, making her hyper-aware of him. The trick is subtlety. Too much, and it's intrusive. Too little, and it goes unnoticed. The love guru knows that women crave anticipation more than completion. It's the suspense of what might happen next that electrifies her imagination. Picture this. They're laughing at something, the energy playful. He leans forward, places his hand on her arm as if by instinct, and pulls it back with a smile. That 1-second touch, intentional yet disguised, leaves her wondering, did he mean it? Did I just imagine that spark, and the more she thinks about it, the deeper it sinks in? Younger men fumble here. They either touch too aggressively, making her recoil, or they never dare to touch at all, leaving the moment lifeless. But the older man, the seasoned flirt, walks the razor's edge perfectly. He knows the secret. The most powerful touch isn't the obvious one. It's the one that feels like an accident, but isn't. 2. The deep, slow voice that makes her lean in. Words are only half the story. The other half is how they're spoken. An older man doesn't need pickup lines or dramatic declarations. His weapon is his voice. When he speaks, it's slower, deeper, deliberate. He doesn't rush to fill the silence. He lets it hang, makes her lean closer, makes her wait, and the waiting. That's where the seduction lives. Psychologists talk about paraverbal dominance, the way tone, rhythm, and pacing communicate more than content. A deep, steady voice signals maturity, control, and sexual confidence. It vibrates in her body before it registers in her brain. It's why a single calm sentence can feel more powerful than a boy's 100 frantic jokes. Imagine this. The room is noisy, conversation buzzing. He leans slightly toward her, not too close, and drops his tone lower, slower, so she has to lean in to catch his words. In that moment, the outside world fades. It feels like there are only 2 people in the room, sharing a frequency no one else can hear. Younger men make the mistake of talking too much, too fast, trying to impress with volume. The older man understands the opposite is true. Silence, when paired with a steady voice, becomes magnetic. Every pause builds suspense. Every word lands heavier. Here's the secret. Women don't remember every sentence you say. They remember how your voice made them feel. And a deep, slow, confident voice doesn't just make her listen. It makes her imagine. She doesn't lean in just to hear you. She leans in because subconsciously she wants more. 3. The eyes that undress her without touching. If touch is the first spark and voice is the fire, then the eyes are the flame that consumes everything else. A woman knows when a man looks at her with interest, but when an older man fixes his gaze, not desperately, not creepily, but with steady, confident intent, something stirs deep inside her. His eyes don't wander nervously. They stay deliberate, as if saying, "I see you, all of you." All of psychologists call this extended gaze effect. Sustained eye contact raises oxytocin levels, builds connection, and amplifies attraction. But here's the twist. It's not just looking at her, it's how you look. A fleeting glance feels casual, a nervous stare feels weak, but a calm, steady gaze followed by a slow smile makes her feel both desired and disarmed. Picture this. She's telling a story. Most men would be waiting for their turn to speak, but he's simply watching her. Eyes locked, subtle smile, silent patience. She feels it. She stumbles over a word, laughs nervously, glances away, then back. Her body betrays her because his eyes have already undressed her, peeling away the walls she hides behind. The love guru knows this secret. You don't need to touch to seduce. Sometimes the way you look at her, steady, grounded, unapologetic, is enough to unravel her. She'll remember it long after the conversation ends. The gaze lingers in her mind, haunting her like a song she can't stop replaying. Younger men scatter their attention, glancing at phones, the room, other women. But the older man, he knows focus is rare. He knows his eyes are more dangerous than his hands. And when he locks in, she feels naked, not because of what he's done, but because of how deeply he's seen. 4. The whisper that belongs only to her ear. There's a reason whispers drive women crazy. They bypass her logic and hit her body like a secret vibration. An older man knows this. He doesn't raise his voice in a crowded room to compete with noise. Instead, he leans in, lets his breath brush her ear, and says something playful, something only she can hear. It doesn't even matter what he says. It could be a teasing joke, a mischievous observation, or a compliment disguised as humor. What matters is the intimacy of the moment. Psychologists call this proximal communication. The closer the voice, the stronger the emotional impact. By whispering, he's collapsing. The A whisper is an invitation, a secret bond. It says, "This moment belongs to us and no one else." The love guru knows. She won't remember the exact words. She'll remember the heat of his breath, the way her skin tingled, the distance, creating a private world where only the two of them exist. Younger men often fail here. They talk too loudly, too eagerly, as if they're performing for everyone. But the seasoned flirt knows that seduction lives in exclusivity. A whisper is an invitation, a secret bond. It says, "This moment belongs to us and no one else." The love guru knows. She won't remember the exact words. She'll remember the heat of his breath, the way her skin tingled, the way her body betrayed her with goosebumps. That's the power of a whisper. It's not information, it's sensation. 5. The way he owns space without saying a word. Confidence isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent, written in posture, movement, and presence. An older man doesn't fidget, doesn't shrink, doesn't make himself small. He walks into a room like he belongs there. Not arrogantly, not aggressively, but with the kind of calm energy that makes people notice without him demanding it. Psychologists call this spatial dominance. Human beings instinctively judge status based on how someone uses space. A man who slouches, avoids eye contact, or shifts nervously communicates insecurity. A man who sits with relaxed posture, stands tall, and moves deliberately communicates power. And power, especially when it's subtle, is magnetic. Younger men often compete for attention. They laugh too loudly, gesture wildly, overcompensate with energy. But the older man, he knows less is more. He takes his time. He lets silence do the work. His stillness becomes a statement. The love guru explains it like this. Women are drawn to the man who doesn't try to own the room, but simply does. not because he forces it, but because his self-control makes people lean toward him. He doesn't orbit anyone. Others orbit him. And when she sees that, she feels it instantly. This man doesn't need approval. He is the approval. 6. The dangerous pause before he smiles. A smile can melt hearts, but the timing of it can set fires. An older man doesn't flash a grin the second she looks at him. No. He holds her gaze, lets the silence stretch, lets her feel the weight of his attention, and then he smiles. That pauses everything. Why? Because psychology teaches us about delayed reward anticipation. When the brain expects something and it's delayed, dopamine levels rise. That's why suspense in movies is addictive. The same principle applies in flirting. The pause builds tension, and when the smile finally comes, it lands 10 times harder. Picture this. She says something witty. Instead of laughing instantly, he watches her for a second, eyes steady, unreadable. Then, slowly, a smile spreads across his face. She feels a rush of adrenaline because in that pause, she wasn't sure. Was he amused? Was he unimpressed? That uncertainty heightens her desire. Younger men smile too quickly, too eagerly throwing away their power. But the older man, he makes her earn it. He lets her feel the silence, then rewards her with the warmth of his grin. And in that moment, she feels chosen. She feels the heat of anticipation turning into connection. The love guru knows. The pause before the smile isn't hesitation. It's seduction. It tells her, I see you. I'm deciding how much to reveal, and now you've earned it. That smile delivered after suspense stays with her long after the moment ends. 7. The silence that pulls her closer than any line ever could. Younger men fill silence with noise, jokes, stories, endless chatter because they fear losing her attention. But the older man, he understands the opposite. Silence is power. He lets the pauses breathe. He lets her words hang in the air, studying her with a calm intensity that makes her heart race. That silence becomes charged, erotic, almost unbearable until she fills it by leaning in, speaking more, or touching him. Psychologists call this tension-building silence. Humans naturally seek to close gaps, and when a man isn't rushing to fill them, the woman feels compelled to. She starts chasing his approval, chasing his attention, chasing his reaction. The love guru knows silence is not emptiness. It's space for desire to grow. And when paired with steady eyes, relaxed body language, and that dangerous half smile, silence seduces louder than any line ever could. So, here it is. The secret no one tells you. Women aren't attracted to louder, younger men who try too hard. They're drawn to older men who flirt with mastery, the touch that feels like an accident, the voice that makes her lean in, the eyes that undress her without a word, the whispers, the posture, the pause before the smile, and the silence that burns hotter than words. These aren't tricks. They're signals of control, maturity, and power. And women can't resist them, because deep down, every woman craves a man who doesn't beg for attention, but makes her crave his. If you're ready to learn more of these forbidden secrets about attraction, psychology women live by but never admit, hit that subscribe button right now and drop the word magnet in the comments if you're ready to become the man women chase instead of the man always chasing them. Because once you master these flirting tricks, you'll never look at women or yourself the same way again.